right, on the wild card line, you're on the air with Kevin Randall. Hi.
Yes, I'm calling you from Iowa City, Iowa.
Iowa City, Iowa, okay.
And it's a dumb question, but how come we can get pictures of aliens with Clinton and Limbaugh on supermarket tabloids, but I can never find one with my camera?
All right, thank you. I don't know what to do with that.
Well, it's because they're making up the pictures of the aliens with Clinton and Rush Limbaugh.
Welcome back to Rock Hard Caucus. This is episode 84, I think. Have you been keeping track, Evan? What number are we on?
No, that's a no for me.
All right, we're on 80-something. I am Justin, and I've got Evan here as I just addressed him. Say hello, Evan.
Hi. I'm here.
Hi. Good to see you again. And we're joined by returning guest, co-host of Street Fight Radio. We've got Brett Payne in the house.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Welcome back, Brett. It's always nice to talk to you. It's been a while, actually, since I haven't called into your show or anything. I haven't talked to you in quite a while.
Oh, it's not a problem. We catch up instantly, like old friends.
How have you been? You were just telling us you were in Kentucky.
Yeah, for the last 3 days, did like a road trip down there because, podcasting, it does pay my bills, but the perks are like the best part. So there's a lot of musicians that are like go on tour and shit that listen to podcasts all day long. And so then they always get me into shows. So I had an opportunity to go see Eve 6 on Wednesday night. They're super lefty. The lead singer Max is like big on Twitter. Everybody knows him.
Yeah.
But when I was backstage, their guitarist like literally got off the stage and was on his phone and was like, "Oh, sick! There's a new Rev Left out." Like he was excited about getting away from the after party and getting on that bus to listen to his podcast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually I saw Eve 6 like 13 years ago. I saw them in 2009 before they had their Twitter resurgence. They played the Homecoming at my college.
So you saw.
Wow.
Oh, what?
Nice.
Really?
That's funny. I don't recall that.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That sounds awesome. It was a really good show. They're pretty. It's a different thing now. I don't know. Did you see that? Was it just them, or were they with like a couple other '90s bands?
I think it was just them. I don't think there was even an opener that I can remember.
Yeah. Well, they said this on stage, but they were like, normally we like to, our record label always pitches us on like, let's do like a 90s tour where like you go out with like Lit and, whatever, and you can get a decent chunk of change and all this or that. And he was like, they're just kind of leaning into it. And he's like, I didn't really want to do that. So I set up this tour. The opening band was We Are the Union, which is like a super gay ska band.
Oh, that's sweet.
It was really good. It was really cool. And they were like so energetic and like fun. And the crowd, there was a lot of people just there for them. But then the MC in between that was Jake Flores doing comedy.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was a really bizarre show, but it was fun. It was just the makeup of it. Like I can imagine someone being like, I loved Eve 6 when I was a teenager and then going now. And then Jake Flores is talking about how he's a straight guy that likes to do poppers. It's not for any gay reasons. Very weird. He was talking about eating his own cum, like in the middle of like right before people are about to see Eve 6, Yeah. It was very weird.
He's famous for that now.
He is.
It's good to see him embracing it,
Oh, it's hilarious the way he tells it.
Yeah, I saw that they were touring together. I was curious how they would handle the comedy / music co-touring, but it sounds like it was fairly smooth from your experience.
I felt the same way. Like I'm not anywhere on that level of what Jake is doing, but like we've been asked, people are always like, "Hey, why don't you guys come MC the show and do jokes and stuff in between music?" And it's like, nobody wants that. People want the fucking music to come on as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But it can be done. Jake did a really good job. I was impressed. He knew when to like ramp it up. It was very very easy in the beginning, and then once people started getting more wasted, he just got super raunchy, and like everybody was, he won everybody over, and the whole place was going nuts. It was really fun.
Didn't Neil Hamburger used to do that? He would open for bands and stuff, and yeah, he would just get the audience extremely riled up with his anti-comedy shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, when the band comes on, they're super excited. It's like it's a win-win.
Yeah, you've been laughing your ass off, and then you get to party to your favorite song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Neil Hamburger, Greg Turkington, yeah. He's like friends with a bunch of, he like started out as a musician, I think, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, he's, I don't know if you've ever seen him live, but he's, yeah, incredible. Just the worst jokes.
I've heard one of his live albums before. Yeah, it's really good, especially for the audience reaction. You have to have it if you're going to see him.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see him forever because I've been trying to make it link up. But I think he's coming in like 2 weeks, and you might have convinced me. This is like synchronicity, so maybe I will go.
He tours a lot. Like he's come through Iowa City many times since I've lived here. Yeah,
road dog.
It's best if there's people in the house who like don't get it and like don't like it.
Sure,
that's more fun. Well, I have very little prepared for today's episode, but a couple years ago, Evan and I went to the live street fight show in Des Moines, and afterwards, we were talking to Brett for a while, and one of the subjects of conversation was drugs. And Evan and Brett were talking about drugs because they know a lot about all kinds of stuff, and I know very little about anything. So I was mostly just listening and nodding, like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. So something that I thought might be fun for us to talk about together. I don't know if everyone listening is familiar with this website, but there's a place called Erowid. That's EROWID. And part of that website is like people can write their own trip reports of, their experiences on different kinds of drugs. The website's been around for a really long time. So I've got stories here going all the way back to the year 2000.
Yeah, it's a very useful resource for sure. And I remember pulling it up at the library in high school and worrying about getting in trouble for it. Maybe not the most well-advised thing to do, but like I said, it's a valuable resource and definitely combats a lot of like dare propaganda shit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're hearing directly from the people who use the drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually my Bible. Like in the early 2000s when I got started, I was like, I still am very reckless, but I do have a level of cautiousness where I'm like, someone wants me to try acid for the first time, and I'm like, I'm going to read about it.
Yeah.
And there's all this, like you said, dare propaganda makes up everything. But when you can go to a website and someone says like, I'm fucking 5'10" and 190 pounds, and I took, one tab or 2 tabs or 3 tabs or whatever it was, or this amount of ecstasy, like the dosing, it was more like Yelp reviews where you could kind of find someone you identify with and be like, I think I'm like, this is my person. I'm going to take this person, this person's word on it. But it is a way to democratize like the experience of doing psychedelics, especially.
Yeah, and it doesn't sugarcoat the negative sides of some of these substances as well, so it's harm reduction.
I read one of these that was really, really horrible.
Yeah, for people that like to over prepare or like how long's it going to take? I mean, folks do like full-time breakdowns, like in the middle of their trips, they're like jotting down what time they started seeing shit, what time they started, hearing shit.
It's like NASA, like T-. Keep a detailed flight log.
Yeah.
Right. Psychonauts.
So since this podcast is about Iowa all the time, we can only talk about our home state. I searched the term Iowa on Erowid, and I've got
that's a good search term because there's not a whole lot to do here. So I'm sure there's some pretty good like legal highs. Like I was thinking about the like nutmeg trip reports on there, or like Datura, like Devil's, what's it called, Jimson weed or whatever the fuck that stuff is. It's like a deliriant, makes people go nuts, and apparently in like Colombia you can just get stuff like blown in your face and then you're like completely delirious, and like people will drive you to the ATM and you'll just completely you'll just give up your PIN immediately. Yeah.
Oh, unfortunately, I'm not seeing those on the list here.
That's all right.
Yeah, no amount of illegal substance could get me to open up my wallet like that for somebody. I don't have it to spare.
It's like devil's trumpets. They grow everywhere, so like people eat their seeds all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Imagine
it's
someone
horrible.
Goes through the trouble of like dosing you with this magic powder, and they get you to pull your wallet out, and you open it up, and just like the fly buzzes out of it like a cartoon. It's a waste of drugs.
Yeah, that's not necessarily going to go good for you, though, if that's the case.
That's true, yeah. Let's see. I've got MDMA and LSD. I've got mushrooms and cannabis. Are there any drugs in particular you guys want to hear about?
Is there any like DXM or ketamine or anything like that?
No, not on the list. And actually, here let me put it in the chat, and you can look at it too.
I'll do the candy flip. The MDMA and LSD.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, this is written by a guy named Scotto. It's Scott with an O on the end. He wrote this in June of 2000. And he titled it The Bad Candy Flip. So candy flip is when you do Molly and LSD together, I guess.
Yes.
Correct. That's the term.
That's correct.
Oh, he gets into it right here. He starts, most people report the candy flip, LSD plus MDMA, combination to be a very enjoyable experience. The most rewardingly cosmic aspects of the LSD are combined with the empathogenic love of the MDMA to create a unique and often powerful experience. This is usually the case with me as well, provided I take a low dose of LSD with a regular dose of MDMA, i.e., too much LSD can blow the MDMA out of the water, which is a damn waste of MDMA.
Okay. This is very scientific so far.
That's
I like the opening here.
Yep. Yeah.
The methodology.
Yeah. It's about to turn bad, though. However, I feel obliged to report one very negative experience I had during a candy flip many years ago when I was still living in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Have you spent much time in Cedar Falls, Evan?
I have actually attended a house party on Halloween on acid in Cedar Falls. There's some funny pictures. I guess you can post them if you want. Because I was not wearing a costume. Like the costume was that I was a guy on LSD, I guess.
Yeah.
And had a good time. I went to the bathroom and all my friends went outside, and I came out and I was like tripping really hard. And there are these two girls, I think dressed up like Red Riding Hood or something, and I didn't know who they were, and I was like, they're like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? Like, do you know, like, how do you know? Like, they had no idea who I was, and I was just like stammering because like I was like, I don't know whose house it was. I was just with my friends and they were all gone, so I didn't like know anyone there, and I was just like, they're about to call the cops on me, and then my friend came in and was like, oh, that's Evan.
All right. Yeah, sometimes you got to bolt.
Yeah, I had no idea where anyone was.
Are you Scotto?
No, I did not. I did not write this.
All right.
No, I've never done the combination. Yeah, it's too rich for my blood at the time.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happened to Scotto. This report mainly serves to underscore the importance of set and setting, but also stands as a reminder that, as Alexander Shulgin says, there are no insignificant psychedelic experiences, meaning caution is always a great policy. Alexander Shulgin, is that a name you know?
Yes. He invented MDMA and a lot of other psychedelic substances. He wrote 2 books, Phenylethylamines, I Know and Love, and Tryptamines, I Know and Love, which are kind of like the Bibles of psychoactive, psychedelic substances. So,
okay.
Yeah.
See, folks, like I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know that guy either, actually. I'm probably going to read that book.
Oh, yeah. He and his wife just basically made all these substances and tried them together, and then they basically just like wrote like, we tried this substance and how was the sex when they had this particular substance. So a lot of it gets into like his weird personal life. It's kind of, yeah, it's an interesting book for sure.
It's kind of an Erowid on paper.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, the guy who's baking the shit, like he's a legend. I think he passed recently, but
yeah, it said 2014 when I just Googled him. He died. Scotto continues, I was hoping to do a rather deep exploration that night and had invited my good friend H over to sit for me. His instructions were to sit quietly in the same room as me and intercede only if I really encountered problems. I felt this was a reasonable precaution because this was only my second candy flip, and I was still at that time relatively inexperienced with both LSD and MDMA. I didn't expect trouble, as I was feeling good and confident about myself at the time, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to have H around, someone who knew me very well and could handle me if I got into a bad space.
Wow, I've never in my life done drugs like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, these are like the biggest nerds who like have to document everything. Like most people are just like, yeah, sure, I'll take some drugs at this party.
Yeah, there's usually loud fucking music blaring, screaming in people's faces, lots of touching usually on MDMA. Very, very interesting. I do like the commitment to scientific research here, though.
Yeah, this sounds like it's just two guys alone in a room, and they sort of scheduled this in advance.
Yeah.
And I don't... Is he trying? I don't know if is he going to play music? Is he going to dance around? Is he just like sitting on a pillow and like pretending to go to outer space? I don't know what the intention is here. I feel like this is also just setting is important. Like thinking that you have control over it or that it's about to go however you want is also not a good idea.
Yeah.
You got to be okay with some mysterious shit happening and being able to roll with the punches.
Yeah, you're not going to have a good time if you just restrict yourself to just like staying in one room with nothing to do. Like that's not a good, you need like things to distract yourself with sometimes.
Yeah, your brain's going to have to come up with its own shit if you have no like external stimulation, right? And that could go wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, with MDMA, maybe not so much, but well, yeah, even then, it's like you're going to be very stimulated for several hours, and can sometimes end up with you having circular thoughts or that sort of thing, which if they're bad, you have a bad trip sort of thing. But
I think turning up the intensity on all of your senses, like music, loud stuff, like that makes a huge difference in how it's much easier in my mind than being locked alone by myself. I mean, I guess I do acid a lot by myself, but I also will just open up the door and start walking for miles. So,
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what happens. Let's see where this goes with how they do the experiment.
Well, Scotto reveals something very interesting in this next sentence. At the time, I was writing a book called Melody's Blues and felt pretty involved with some of the characters, to the extent that my psychedelic trips often featured interactions with versions of these characters. That's interesting. He's having conversations with people he invented in a book.
Yeah. So what
this
Brett
is a bad idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is already a pump the brakes. Like I feel like your drug dealer should prescribe you psychedelics and they should make you tell them what you want them for.
Yeah.
Because if I was about to sell this guy candy flip and he said, I'm talking to the characters in my book, I'd be like, you gotta go to the doctor first. You gotta go talk to the doctor and see what they will prescribe you, because this could open up something you don't want to fuck with.
We don't want any breaks from reality.
People, I mean, I don't know the truth of it or how Madari it is, but there is people that LSD does like open up schizophrenia for them way faster than like the natural process does, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
All right, now we get into like the physical, like what's he doing while he takes these. I laid down on the floor under a nice blanket on top of some cushions underneath a blindfold and proceeded to go, quote, way, way out there, man. And suddenly found myself sharing a psychedelic bubble of space-time with Melody, the main character in the book.
Wow, this is a really good friend. This is a really, really, really good friend that's going to watch you go under a blanket and talk to your girlfriend in your book.
Yeah, H is a real hero. Maybe that's what H stands for. This was not in itself cause for alarm, but before long, things got incredibly dark and incredibly weird inside my head. The sensation was of being suddenly and vigorously pursued by vast collections of entities that were very specifically bent on doing us grievous harm.
Yeah, that sounds like too much LSD.
Yeah.
Especially on the second time. I was like locked in my bed watching just like black smoke, like demon looking black smoke of spirits just like fill the fucking room. And I just sit there and I just had to talk myself out of it. Like, and just had to deal with it. It was a good mental exercise. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that was when I was stuck at my house. I couldn't leave. And then you just start making shit up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we should emphasize MDMA is the most social drug you could possibly do. So it's the kind of thing where, like, you want to have a lot of people around, preferably also on MDMA when you do it. Otherwise, you're going to have bad shit like this happen.
Yeah, this is the worst way to do this. But proceed.
So Scotto and Melody, who is, again, a character from a book that Scotto is writing, are being pursued by vast collections of entities. We fled through psychedelic corridors and churning maelstroms of energy, and the terror in me gradually increased over the course of what I'm guessing was a half an hour, maybe more. The intensity continued to build, and it seemed extremely relentless. I could feel them shrieking as they chased us, these horrible alien monsters. I had never encountered such mayhem before and was frightened beyond belief.
Okay.
I wonder if he might have got some bad acid also, because there's like some other substances that get passed that are generally unpleasant, like BOM is one. I don't know. There's a few commonly like passed off at festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you should definitely test acid. It's so cheap anyways to do. Because it does, you can't get bad stuff. None of this sounds like MDMA. If he started humping the carpet until he got like a rug burn, maybe, I would think that's the MDMA. This sounds like a really bad acid. I've also, I've had this experience once or twice. Usually it just makes you stronger. But it happens, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like he was hoping for a sort of MDMA experience with Melody, the book girl. And
That's
then
true.
The LSD sort of took them on a different path.
Like, what if you and Melody can never be together? All these haunting spirits telling him.
Man.
Yeah, what if? What if you can't actually have a real relationship with this woman you invented? Well, let's see how he gets out of it. At some point, it somehow finally occurred to me to rip the blindfold off and sit up. The room was just as I left it, if covered with a few more multicolored swirls than usual. I immediately turned to H, who was staring intently at me. I said, "What the hell is going on?" He replied, "You ingested LSD and MDMA, and you've been candy flipping for an hour and a half or so."
Good man.
Nice.
These are the people you need around you, at least. If you're going to have one person, you're going to have someone who's going to give it to you straight like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good idea. I also am down with this. We definitely have one person hang out and just like watch TV and let people do everything else that they want or something. Also, it's really funny that he said he realized he could rip the blindfold off because sometimes when you get so fucking stuck, like you just feel like it's going to be like this forever. I'm unable to do anything. And then you like talk out loud and just like, it feels like just plunging into water. Like everything opens up. I don't know. There is a moments where like it happened recently on some shrooms. I took them. It was way more than expected because I didn't realize it was a different strain. And all I did was just lay back and slowly pull the blanket up to my chin and just close my eyes. And I'm like, I'm going to be gone for like an hour and a half. So goodbye, everybody. I'm out of here.
All right, so H tells Scotto that he's been candy flipping for an hour and a half, and then he fell silent, and suddenly I heard for the first time the sounds coming from the apartment next door. Oh no, my neighbors have been having a horrendous, extremely loud fight, and the screams were clearly audible through the wall.
Oh shit!
Yeah. You don't want that modifying your trip. That's like a modifier you do not add to the equation.
That's also, the shroom trip I was on, I was laying there and there was like this police violence part where they were just like beating the shit out of people. And I was like, you have to turn this off right now. I do not want to be thinking about any of this. I would not listen. Wow. That is so fucked up. God damn.
Yeah. Comprehending violence on psychedelics is like a very fucking weird experience. Like
very scary shit. Especially if he had no idea what's happening too. It's just he's just hearing sounds of screaming and fighting.
Right. So
he thinks it's coming from the trip.
Yeah, the screams became the like horrible alien monsters, I guess. He says, these sounds had very obviously penetrated my trip, but I hadn't given any external signs that I was in trouble, so H had chosen not to intervene. The aggression from next door was as much a part of my set and setting as my preparation and intention, and had pretty much steered my trip. So then it says that Scotto and H just chilled until the fight next door, settled down. And it sounded like he had never really experienced that sort of violent influence on his trips before, and it kind of fucked him up.
Sure.
He turned on some incredibly soothing music and laid back down, and then I guess he had a good, nice trip after that, about which I have written elsewhere, so we'd have to hunt down the rest of the Scotto adventures.
He's got a couple others. Looks like he did a ayahuasca trip, which I'm jealous of, I guess.
True. Me too.
What is ayahuasca?
It's basically, if you've ever heard of DMT, it's essentially taking that orally. It requires another substance along with the DMT to like prevent your body from breaking down the DMT, because otherwise, normally you have to smoke DMT to get an effect. Anyway, it's like a ritual thing. It's been done in like South American cultures for
that's
a long time.
The context that I've heard of it before.
Yeah, basically they have these packages where you can pay a few $1,000s and you get to go stay in a retreat in like Peru, and they will cook up a batch of ayahuasca and ibogaine usually as well. But it's like an intense, like all day, sometimes shivering, shaking, vomiting type of trip that everybody says is like the best shit ever. Like, I don't think it turns people away. But then I've also heard of like people trying to be shamans and shit in like the United States and like Germany and in the UK. And it's just like sitting around in some dirty apartment on like a foam mattress on the floor, which is not my get down for sure.
Yeah. It kind of takes the beauty of nature out of the experience.
Right. You're not in the fucking rainforest.
For sure.
Well, Evan, I know you're looking at the list here. What do you see?
I'm looking at there's a guy named Iowa Punker who has 1 million reviews.
He's got a lot. Yeah.
But then there's some interesting ones. There's someone who did a diphenhydramine, which is Benadryl, which are generally, kid. It says some dumb kid.
Some dumb kid is the name of the writer.
Yeah, which is usually the kind of people who are doing Benadryl recreationally, quote unquote. There's a lot of experiences on Arrowwood about that, and it's usually people hallucinating spiders or like just not having a good time. It's a delirium again. Right.
There's still on Reddit, there is a Benadryl Reddit that is super popular. I read an article about it recently about young kids just like seeing like, I'll take 50 of them and see what happens type
Holy
thing,
shit.
and bored and writing about it, similar to this.
Yeah. All right, do we want to look at the Benadryl one by some dumb kid?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
This is from, these are all from like 2001. Well, there's actually one from this year.
There's a couple of recent ones, yeah.
But most of them are from mid 2000s, which was, I think, probably the peak of Arrowwood.
Yeah, back when we had different websites for different purposes.
Yeah.
Some dumb kid wrote this in 2004, and they took 6 tablets of Benadryl, and they weighed 185 pounds. So take that context into account. As we hear about some dumb kids' Benadryl experience. What's the science word for that, Evan? Say that again.
Diphenhydramine.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, it's an antihistamine. It's it's for preventing itching. There's a million similar drugs that do the same thing. Most people you just take a couple Benadryl and you fall asleep, but if you take more, you end up. I don't know exactly what receptors or whatever, but you seriously hijack some of your body's processes to put you into a nightmare dream world of spiders and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's also like Coricidin was also a popular one when I was younger. I think it was probably better than Benadryl even. I never knew anybody that ate a bunch of Benadryl.
Yeah, that would be like DXM, like Robitussin shit, which a lot of people do that recreationally, and it is definitely not as bad as doing Benadryl. Like, it actually has some positive aspects, or can, depending on the person.
All right, so let's see what happened to some dumb kid. I had just got back from my friend's house, which was after my Friday night football game. So this is a football player, I guess.
He's a party animal.
Hell yeah, dude.
Throwing back 6 Benadryl. I got a problem, man.
I was fairly tired and sore/weak and went there so I could socialize and smoke some 27s before I left for the Labor Day weekend. I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
Okay.
But
what's a 27?
This guy gets down.
Let's look up smoke some 27s. All right,
maybe
Urban
it
Dictionary.
must be a brand of cigarette.
Yeah, it's Marlboro number
maybe.
27 cigarettes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God, yeah, those are those fancy ones. They had all those speakeasy cigarettes back in the early 2000s.
I'd been researching all kinds of drugs on Erowid.org and had decided to try Benadryl. He's plugging the website that he's writing this on.
Yeah.
Since it was readily available, everyone in my family is an allergy sufferer. So I got home at about 11:20, very fatigued and bored. I popped in my SNL The Best of Will Ferrell DVD.
Awesome.
This is so 2004.
Once again,
Good time.
very mid 2000s. I might have gone to high school with this guy at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, this was written in Iowa, so who knows? Maybe he'll mention the city at some point. And plopped into my comfy leather recliner for some relaxation. I had nothing to drink. That's nothing with no G at the end. I had nothing to drink, so I decided to go upstairs and get whatever Benadryl I could muster. I found 6 of them and immediately took them. It was about 11:35 now. So he's taking Benadryl in place of drinking alcohol, is what I'm getting from that?
Yeah.
Yeah, based on, the other context clues, I think that's the case.
Just trying to catch a buzz, man.
The thing is, there's like a lot of actually like decent legal highs, even like back then. Like, I remember ordering Kratom to my dorm room.
Oh, really?
In like 2009.
Wow.
And then, there's a lot of other weird stuff out there. But you had to go on like cool internet forums. I mean, I guess he's on Erowid, but he's setting his sights too low, I think.
Yeah, the best he can find is Benadryl in his parents' medicine cabinet.
Yeah, all my families are allergy sufferers.
I had never taken any hallucinogen, so naturally I was pumped up for some flying elephant images and such, but I found out that I was just ignorant. Yeah, he's expecting like the Winnie the Pooh experience on Benadryl. I sat back down on my recliner and started watching my DVD. About 10 minutes into the movie, I suddenly realized that I had to go piss, so I did. What movie is he watching? I thought this was Best of Will Ferrell. All right, well, 10 minutes into the SNL skits, I guess. So he had to go piss. I felt like I was pissing razor blades, and I don't know why. That could be unrelated, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I have an idea why. I mean, it seems like it shouldn't be that hard to figure out.
Yeah, football guy. Yeah. You get around too much, my friend. It's a good problem to have.
Maybe you should be taking some penicillin instead of that Benadryl.
Right.
At almost 12 o'clock, I was still watching the movie, but I felt euphoric for the first time. Laughing quietly to myself about anything and everything. I went to piss again. So that's like 20 minutes apart. He's peeing. When I got up to use the facilities the second time, my body was very heavy, and I almost fell several times upon my sister, who was sleeping on my family room floor.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I guess his sister was sleeping there while he was doing this.
And he was like, oh, almost fell on you. Okay.
Yeah. I also almost lost my balance when I was going pee and couldn't quite hit the hole very well. So he's just pissing all over the floor. I finished the movie and stumbled upstairs to go to sleep because I hadn't seen any visual effects for the last hour or so. So I turned on my room stereo and listened to music from the Diablo 2 soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
Interesting choice.
Oh, wow. Let's get this right. Let's get in a better headspace.
Yeah, setting the mood.
He describes the Diablo 2 soundtrack as some eerie instrumental type music. and he thought that sleep would come easily, but it didn't. I kept hearing things that I knew were not from the music, just weird noises that I can't really explain. I kept on hearing someone calling my name, and I kept yelling, "What?" even though no one was awake at my house, until my mom heard me yelling and came in. So he's getting the auditory hallucinations, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds pretty common, the stumbling around, auditory hallucinations. He didn't apparently read the Arrowwood trip reports closely enough before he decided to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have paid attention. Yeah, because now's the part where your mom is like, "Michael, what's going on? You're scaring me."
You're on drugs, aren't you? It's just Benadryl, Mom. All right, so his mom heard him yelling, and she told him no one had been calling his name. And she told him to go to bed because we were going to travel to the Twin Cities in the morning. And he says this is 6 hours from where he lives. So, I mean, yeah, that could be Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Going to the big old Twin Cities and going to the bustling metropolis.
I forgot that I was even listening to music and just laid awake on my futon. I felt very cold and uncomfortable. This is a futon guy. Doesn't even have a bed.
But he has options. He does have options.
I began twitching at about 1:10, still lying in bed. These were uncontrollable and frequent, about once every 10 seconds or so. All right, I would start freaking out at this point. Uncontrollable twitching every 10 seconds. I was grinding my teeth.
I can't do twitching either. It freaks me out. I started getting an eye twitch like once I got in my 30s, and I looked it up, and they're like, it's just because you're getting old. It happens to people. And I was like, fuck, I hate it though. It scares me every time.
Yeah. A few months ago, I work at a theater, and we had this production of the Nutcracker for the Christmas season. And it was like, overtime. This is like one of my busy weeks of the year. So I was down in like tons of caffeine that week, and my eye just started twitching like constantly. And it still happens every once in a while, and it's been like 5 months.
Just a little bit. Just a reminder.
Yeah. I just
push it to the limit.
Permanently fucked myself up a little bit. He says he fell asleep after about 20 minutes of the twitching. He woke the next morning at 9 o'clock and felt like crap. My head hurt like hell, and I felt very, very hot, like there was a heater right next to me. I went downstairs for some coffee and went back to bed 10 minutes later. My mom came in and asked how I was, and I told her that I didn't feel good. She took my temperature and reported that I had a slight fever of 99 degrees or so.
Oh, what a nice mother. My mom would never count that as a fever.
Yeah, that 99, that's what I was going to say. That's nothing.
You can still go to school.
You're still going to Minneapolis. We're still... We're not turning this van around just because you have a 99-degree fever because you took 6 Benadryl tablets last night by yourself.
I got in the van and slept for 6 hours all the way to Minneapolis and felt like shit for the rest of the day at the Mall of America.
This is a good anti-drug ad. See, this is also why I probably read this and was like, I'm not doing Benadryl. Like, this is a great reason not to do Benadryl.
Yeah. He ends with this. I wouldn't highly recommend this to anyone, but I think, as stupid as this may sound, that I might try it again another time I'm not so tired. And his goal, I guess, is to see some visual effects.
Some visuals.
Yeah.
Which, that's... he's very ignorant to the realities of doing psychedelic drugs, because, I mean, the visuals are fun, but they're manifestations of what's going on in your head. Like, if it was that good, they would not sell it over the counter. You gotta seek out some fellow travelers if you're gonna get the good stuff.
Yeah, I honestly would just rather my kid like microdose a piece of LSD than take 6 Benadryl.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They'd have a much better experience.
Yeah, so 6 Benadryl, that doesn't sound like a good one. The candy flip sounds like it could have gone better if maybe he didn't live in an apartment with a loud couple next door.
It's it's a rich person's thing. You can't be in a connected building. You can't be in an apartment. You can have your own house to go deep inside of your mind and dance with melody one more time.
Yeah. You need a porch if you're gonna do some suburban LSD. You gotta go outside on the porch.
There you go.
That sounds a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah. Scene change. Smoke a cig.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we haven't done any of these Iowa punker ones. He's got several stories, as we mentioned.
He's got a meth experience called Meat Face. Alprazolam is just Benadryl, or not. It's like benzos. It's nothing exciting.
Okay. Well, he says benzos and alcohol, which sounds like a recipe for fun, right?
Exciting in a bad way. Usually, you don't really want to push your luck with that sort of thing.
Yeah,
you're gonna forget large periods of your night, and you're gonna do some things during those hours that you probably are not gonna be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a truck flipping combination.
Yeah. That's a famous internet user once bought a grand piano. And had it delivered to his house while on the influence of similar substances.
God damn.
Do you want to try the meth one? That one sounds intriguing.
Yeah, that's Iowa. We're keeping it Iowa.
Yeah. And again,
I like
it's called Meat Face. So.
Yeah, I like the name too, so I think that's where we should go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much meth experience. I took a little smoke of it one time with a friend.
Yeah.
And we were like sitting around drinking, and I started hallucinating and feeling real gross. And the apartment we were in was super gross too. And I just felt like this is a bad place to be, and like this is a wrong thing to do. I had just a regret immediately. The only time I did it, and I left, and then I asked, and then like my friend stayed there for like 3 days, and they did horrendous shit.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like it's probably for the best that you immediately regret it instead of wanting to do a lot more.
Yeah, it was the set and setting really turned me off.
Yeah, that sounds pretty typical. First methamphetamine experience. I've not dipped into that myself. But I mean, if you've done Adderall, it's very, very similar.
Right. Yeah, that's how it started out, was a study drug, right?
Well, you can get prescribed methamphetamine. It's called Disoxin. It's still being used therapeutically. So, I mean, it's it's like Adderall is dextro and levoamphetamines, and it's all amphetamines. You know, it's just meth has just got whatever substituted, whatever the fuck. I'm not a chemist.
I got the impression you were, because you said that big fancy Benadryl word earlier.
It's printed on the bottle. It's not a secret.
Well, I know how to look at the word. I don't know how to say it. That's the problem. All right, so Iowa Punker's methamphetamine experience from March of 2005, again titled Meat Face. So we'll look forward to the Meat Face. It says Iowa Punker took methamphetamine in powder/crystal form and weighed 160 pounds.
Good to know.
Yeah, so Iowa Punker begins, I name my story after what people start to look like after decades of meth abuse. Oh, okay. So it's the toll that it takes on your body after years of habitual use. Seriously, I remember the cooker I used to purchase my meth from, who had been a 3 gram a day smoker and snorter for the past 15 years.
Fuck.
That's a lot.
That's intense.
Yeah. 3 grams a day for 15 years. That's quite a lot of meth.
They sell it in tenths of a gram, so that's a shit ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Iowa Punker says that this guy looked like Hamburger. I started calling him Meat because of this, but he just laughed. I never told him what I meant by it. So I guess he doesn't get the joke.
He's far too high. I mean.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, it's like just someone starts calling you Meat, you're like, okay, I'm Meat. Whatever you say.
I mean, you've been high on meth for 15 years. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. Right. Don't use my real name. As long as you don't use my real name, I don't care what you call me.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm the meth dealer for 15 years now, so yeah.
All right, here's my story. It's very long, so I hope you like to read. It's not actually that long. It's about the same as the first story we read. I luckily backed away from this shit before I myself became one of the meat faces, but I did have some fun times, though. Anyway, I was out looking for the ultimate high, the one drug that could satisfy my cravings for excitement like no other drug could. The first time I tried any amphetamine was when I met a kid in school who had ADHD, and he was prescribed Ritalin and Dexedrine. Dexedrine?
Dexedrine, I believe.
Dexedrine. Okay, Dexedrine. But I knew that Dexedrine was Pharm speed. That's Pharm with a PH. And I always wanted to try it. Boy, did I love those pills. My friends and I would crush up 20 of those little darlings, split the huge pile into big lines, snort ourselves silly, then go out and party the night away.
Wow.
So he went from farm speed to farm speed. He's stealing anhydrous tanks from... They don't really do that anymore, but that was a thing I remember as like my grandparents did a little bit of farming, but they had an anhydrous ammonia tank out like in their front yard, and there was a lot of those being knocked off by groups of local tweakers. Yeah. Though I think with the like Sudafed going out of style, then I don't think the anhydrous is quite as valuable as it used to be because they use like different methods now. Anyway.
So at one of these parties where Iowa Punker was snorting lines of Dexedrine, a guy named C asked me if I wanted to try crank. You like speed, right? He said. You'll love crank. I had heard so many horror stories about crank. Let's see, this was before the movie came out. Yeah. The Jason Statham crank. I had heard so many horror stories about crank, like the way some people cut it with nasty adulterants, but curiosity and my love for amphetamines got the better of me. I sniffed a big line of this off-white, chunky powder. Whoosh! That's in all caps. If I thought Dexedrine was the shit, I was way wrong. This stuff was way more potent and packed a longer-lasting, more mentally uplifting buzz.
The enlightened meth snorter. Mentally uplifting.
Yeah. Spiritually.
That packs the punch you need.
I loved it. There was no turning back now. Snorting started to bother my nose, so I smoked it off tinfoil one night. I had to be showed how to do it, but once I learned it was the only way I ever did it. I'd see people snort it and look down on them, like, why do it that way? Smoking is so much better.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, new converts, quickly want to be a part of the in-group, always bashing the newbies, gatekeeping.
Well, he's just trying to make them better at their chosen thing. Like, it's more efficient. They're wasting their money,
That's true. Word to the wise. Get on this tinfoil.
I got so good at smoking foils, bulbs, and glass dicks that I even started teaching amateur tweakers how to smoke. Do you know what glass dicks means? He put the dicks in quotes.
I mean, have you seen a meth pipe before? I mean,
it's just a straight piece of metal. Straight piece of glass. It's just a straight
like
tube of glass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're usually at the worst gas stations in town usually have the stems there, is what they're calling them or something.
Yeah, they're like little roses.
Yeah,
roses. Those are the ones.
From Todd Blodgett's book, I learned about the roses. Remember that?
Those aren't the dicks. Those aren't the dicks, though. Those are.
Oh, those aren't?
Well, no, I think a dick would be like the more classic that has a bulb at the end,
Oh, the bulb.
Right.
You're right. Yes. Yeah. You're right.
What you're talking about is only the shaft. You need to have the balls, too, at the end.
I was thinking of a crack pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's the same shit, basically, right?
Pretty interchangeable. Yeah.
Yeah. One day, I wondered what it would be like to miss more than just one night of sleep. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Dangerous questions. So I saved my money for about 2 weeks straight so I could supply myself with crank over a period of a week and stay awake the whole time.
Whoa, dude. No. Sleep deprivation is worse than any drug.
Yeah, that's absolutely not a good idea. The worst part about drugs a lot of times is not being able to go to sleep. You like desperately are like, I just had an amazing night. I do not want to sit here and listen to birds chirp for like the next 4 hours. You know, I'd rather have someone hit me over the head with like a hammer and get me to go to sleep. You got to rest up for next day of partying. Staying up for a week is a very lofty goal.
Yeah. And can have serious side effects. Like you can fucking go to the hospital off that shit.
It seems like a bad thing to plan out. Like this is something that happens by accident, right?
Right. Well, my ex-wife, actually, she had Adderall in college and used it to stay up 2 days. And by the third day, she went to the fucking hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And she wasn't a druggie or anything. She wasn't a person that abused them at all. She just was like literally using them for college.
Yeah.
And didn't really do anything else at the time.
That's the thing with these amphetamines is like you want to do more of them. If you have them, you're going to be tempted. Most people are going to be tempted to want to do more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just literally take a pill and make tiredness go away.
Yeah. That's why he had to get the whole stockpile going before he dove into this, you know.
Yeah. The preparation.
Like you have to plan for that because otherwise you're going to like just blow through it, you know.
Right, you got to like ration it so you can get through the whole week. Yeah. All right, well, after the first night, I went for number 2. That was no problem either, except that I started feeling giddy and floaty. After the third night, those effects were enhanced greatly. I felt as if I were living a dream. I felt detached from everything. Oh, this can get very dangerous. Like I was living in my own
that's a sleep deprivation
world.
more than the meth at this point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this reminds me of like having a job, you know, and being like sick all night and not sleeping and having to go to work. And then you're just like, you feel like you're just floating through the place, like you don't exist, or like taking Dayquil, like not sleeping all night from being sick and having to go to work and taking Dayquil. It's the worst feeling in the world. I would never chase that feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Colors had a softer appearance. Sounds were muffled. My thought processes were slowed dramatically. I couldn't even feel the effects of being spun anymore. It was completely different. It was very pleasant.
My goodness.
I felt more relaxed than ever. So this is after 3 days, I think.
Because you were running on no energy. Your body, you could not fucking, like, you just don't have any energy anymore now. You depleted all the resources.
Yeah.
Wow.
The fourth and fifth nights were pretty much the same, but with more pronounced effects of sleep deprivation. Colors seemed to bleed. I saw LSD-like trails and tracers, and sounds seemed very distant, even my own voice. It was getting weird, but I kept on smoking.
What? What is it? Is it just like a Family Guy DVD? It's just on repeat the whole time? Like, where is he at? Is he imagine having to oh my God, imagine having 8 more hours tacked onto your day. Imagine how exhausting that would be. I could not 72 straight hours of just being fucking just lucid, just standing there like, all right, guys, well, let's go get groceries. You know, I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
You cannot function. Like, he is not a functional person at this point.
He's stuck in the house, on a couch. He's couch surfing.
He probably does have the Family Guy DVD, but it's on the main menu and it's going on a loop of 30 seconds in a row over and over.
Yeah, that is interesting that he doesn't really say anything about, like, what he was doing. It's only about how he felt.
I mean, you would do this if you were going to build a time machine. Like, that's a good reason to put it up, to risk it all like this. Or if you have a backyard rocket to fly into the air to prove the Earth is flat or something like that. Like, there's a lot of reasons that maybe, you know, there's a deadline, but just to, I don't know, sitting around just being like, oh damn, I'm thinking super slow.
He didn't list his activities because his brain was not encoding memories at this point. So he does not have any comprehension of what he was doing for that period of time.
Yeah, he's got a notebook and it's just like,
he just became a spirit.
Just covering pages and pages of notebooks with graphite, just top to bottom, black all the way down.
That's would not be out of the question.
Hey, you brought up that flat Earth rocket guy. I haven't thought about him in years. Is he like still around?
Oh, Mad Mike? No, he died.
Oh, man.
The rocket crashed and he died.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Wow,
I remember that actually.
I don't
risked
remember
it
his
all,
death.
yeah.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit!
Probably some NASA people shot him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting close, right?
He got embarrassed a little bit, and then he came. I think he just came back a little too rowdy.
Yeah, had something to
But
prove.
he kind of overdid it. Yeah, he did. Yeah, took it too personal.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Mad Mike.
yeah, for sure. All right, so I think Iowa Punker is on his 5th night with no sleep. I then figured out what was meant by, quote, tunnel vision. It was so weird.
That's before the lights blink out, dude. That's what happens is your vision eventually goes to 0. Yeah.
Out of the corner of my eye, my vision was so dim and fuzzy, but straight ahead it was clear as day. Driving a car while in this condition could have killed me, I'm sure.
Oh, no.
Oh, could have. Okay, he didn't say.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's like a jump scare almost, starting a sentence with driving a car after all that. I don't remember much of that 6th day after being awake for 5 nights. I crashed around 8 p.m. in a lawn chair in my backyard. I slept for almost 24 hours.
No one came to disturb him during 24 hours. He's just passed out on this lawn chair.
Passed out on a lawn chair.
24 straight hours.
They're probably just happy he's not doing whatever loud ass thing he's been doing for the last 6 days nonstop.
Yeah. I hope somebody kept an eye on him, like hold a mirror up to his nose.
Right.
When I awoke, the effects of sleep deprivation and the effects of not eating really, and I mean really, got to me. I was physically and mentally exhausted for at least a week after that, and extreme hunger plagued me every minute. I remember on one of those recovery days, not 1 minute went by without me chewing on some kind of food. This guy almost died, I think.
Emphasis on the chewing, because he just did like 3 grams of meth or whatever. His jaw was going overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his body was just like, we're shutting this down. We gotta shut this down.
I experienced nasty cold and flu symptoms as the chemicals slowly exited my body. I call this simply the crank flu.
Okay.
My mouth tasted metallic like I'd been sucking on a penny. Sounds like blood. Sounds like you might have been bleeding.
Yeah. Never had that happen.
I had a few more binges after that, usually limited to 3 nights. All right, so we cut it in half.
Yeah, he's being responsible. he's cut it down from a week to 3 nights.
Yep.
He found his limit.
I stayed clean from crank for about a year. Surprisingly, it wasn't very hard. It is so hard to say no to this stuff when it's around, but if I move away to where I don't know anybody and don't make friends in the drug culture, it can be done. So he says, like, it wasn't hard to stay clean. He just had to completely fucking remove himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
First he humble brags.
Never go around it.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't actually that hard to kick meth, but also I had to completely cut myself off from everyone I know.
Just totally uproot my life to get away from it. Which, hey, isn't hard
just
for
move
me
across
to do.
the country.
Yeah. It got so bad, so addicting to the point where I had to just say goodbye to everything and escape. There was no other way out for me. Again, not to reiterate this too much, but I'll go back and read that other phrase. Surprisingly, it wasn't very hard.
Yeah.
Now, I'll admit to you that I still like the stuff. It's fun to smoke or snort just a little dab and go out partying all night. My meth use is limited to only about 5 or 6 times a year now. I'm proud of how I've learned to respect chemicals. This does sound like you've really taken control, honestly.
Yeah, it sounds like he's doing a little bit of justification for, I mean, more than a little, maybe.
What's he doing in between those 5 or 6 times, too? Like, what are the other drugs that he's on all the time?
He says that meth did not fuck him up as much as cocaine did.
That's okay. Yeah.
He says meth is an interesting and amazing drug, but way too hard on his body. And he says, Don't be a meat face. Drink your beer.
Okay.
Definitely a drug that is advice. Not hard on your body. Alcohol.
Yeah.
Doesn't turn your nose all big and red, and never seen that happen.
Yeah. Nobody gets hooked on that stuff.
I think I have the time to do it right now, but I want to come back because I want to read what he says about cocaine and compare the two.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine cocaine being worse than what he just said there.
Yeah. And he said it was.
Except for just the cost.
Right, yeah.
But no, meth is more expensive too. Yeah. So I don't know. He has a decent amount of money. Maybe he's stealing shit. I don't know. That's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're not paying for food.
Yeah.
You're not paying for activities. You're pretty much, if you took your whole budget for the week and put it only into methamphetamines, I guess that's just what you do 24/7. That makes sense. Okay. Math works out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how this guy's doing now. I mean, he's probably doing fine, honestly.
Dude, we
should destigmatize drug use here. Like, all of the people in these stories that we've read are probably just chilling right now.
Well, these happen to be 3 fairly bad stories, but there are, good stories too on here.
Yeah, and sometimes people do figure it out later in life, and it doesn't seem he just pushed the limits and wanted to share, and it's good information to have.
Mm-hmm. And Iowa Punker has, it looks like 8 different stories on here. The most recent one was written in 2019. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's out there. Yeah. Oh, and it's about amphetamines.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Maybe I'll take back what I said.
Well, he's still alive and he's still writing.
I also think if you can make it work, if it takes years off your life or whatever, I still think that everybody should have that decision, to be honest.
Yeah.
The same way I think that pro wrestlers should be able to, and football players and all them should be able to trade in their physical health for the thing that they love to do. I think that everybody should have that right. I'm doing it myself. I do it myself.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, everyone's doing that. Just, some people are doing it more than others or taking it further.
Yeah. And there are some that, I just never... Methamphetamines is one I would never tell anybody to try. And cocaine is the other one I would never give somebody their first bump of cocaine. Like, I would never turn anybody onto that shit. It's such a stupid waste of time.
Wasteful drug. Mm-hmm. I did read the last sentence of the 2019 amphetamines strip report. I couldn't eat or sleep for 2 days, and I felt like I'd been hit by a bus when I finally crashed, but it was worth it, and it taught me a valuable lesson. Do not take pharmaceuticals lightly. That's all caps. Do not take pharmaceuticals lightly. That's a good point. Mm-hmm. Those are still drugs, and they're very powerful. Although they are semi-legal, some farms possess some wicked powers.
Wow.
Who'da thunk?
Yeah, thought they were fake. You don't want that pharmacy amphetamines. You need the trailer park shit.
Yeah, I got a buddy who makes it way better.
Yeah, doctors aren't allowed to make it as strong as I do, as meat does.
Yeah, right.
Meat, my bud, meat.
All right, well, I think we should call it a day for now. We should have Brett back and explore more of the Iowa Punker story. He's got years and years of experience chronicled here that we should dive into later.
Yeah, he tried something I've never even heard of called calamus. I don't know what this is.
Calamus?
Calamus. It's apparently a flowering plant with psychoactive chemicals. Yeah, never heard of this shit before, but I guess he says he has a friend who is native to a third world country. Yeah, anyway, I'm sure this guy has a lot more interesting tales to tell.
Yeah, we can learn a lot.
Yeah, we have lots to learn.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Brett, thanks for talking with us today. This was really fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me back. It was a fun show.
So what have you got going on? What kind of stuff do you want to plug for our much smaller audience than yours?
You know what? Honestly, I don't got anything going on right now. If you want to follow along, Street Fight WCRS on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and all that is where I've been trying to post more stuff on there, but we're not touring anything right now. But if you want and haven't heard of Street Fight Radio, give us a shot.
Yeah, definitely. I highly endorse Street Fight.
Yes.
This show is largely modeled after what these guys made. So if you like us, you'll for sure like Street Fight. And they've got shitloads of content for you to enjoy.
Lots of good Patreon stuff. I am a Patreon subscriber, and there's always some good Street Fight content coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian does a lot of good series, funny shows. I'm not as good at it, but Brian knows what to do.
And as for ourselves, you can check out our Patreon. We're currently reviewing very in-depth a book by local author Joseph Dobrian, and it's just horrible shit week after week. So you'll love to listen to us talk about it. We've got a couple designs up on Redbubble. If you go to redbubble.com, search Rock Hard Caucus, you'll find a gas station ripoff logo and the new Toxic Feminine Mystique logo designed by our friend Allie High. And I'm playing a show this Saturday, May 7th at Gabe's in Iowa City. So come check that out. That'll be fun.
Get to it.
All right. I think that'll do it for us. Thank you, Evan. Thanks again, Brett. Thanks, everyone, for listening. This has been Rock Hard Caucus, episode 80-something.